That's interesting. An intro that only consists of that weird drum sample, and then we go directly into what I believe might be a verse. What beautiful images. They live behind the t-shirts and the winter coats, right? Cool. We are in a verse 3, in a broken down verse 3 that in terms of arrangement certainly fulfills the function of a primary bridge. I think this is the strongest hook of the song. Right? Then an outro that is rather separate from the overall feel of the song because it has got those dotted quarter notes. Well, we could talk about why Dutch children are the happiest in the world, but let's talk song. Welcome to episode 2 of Let's Talk Your Song. Today I'm going to be listening to Kennedy Frohawk, sung In the Hands of the Giant. If the rest of you are also interested in getting your own songs analyzed and exposed publicly, then check out the link in description. Check out the offer that I have over on Patreon. I'm looking forward to give all of you useful songwriting tips. So without further ado, let's get going. That's interesting. An intro that only consists of that weird drum sample, and then we go directly into what I believe might be a verse. Step 1, find the key of that thing. The intro won't be a big help, but maybe the chords in the verse. Monsters under my bed, they're hiding in the floorboards and they pull me down. I somehow feel like we are in the key of E flat minor or D sharp minor. Rather complicated to be playing on the keyboard because it's all black keys. All 5 plus a couple of white keys in between. Interesting. Step 2, find the chord progression. Monsters under my bed, they're hiding in the floorboards and they pull me down. I somehow feel, and sorry for not saying the chord names all the time because it's with flat and minor and everything weird. Let's stick to the Roman numerals, shall we? So it's a 6 minor, 5, 1, 4, I believe. Let's confirm this for a second. Yes. So, step 3, find the melody development, which seems rather interesting and out of the usual. Okay, so we seem to be playing some kind of pentatonic scale in the melody where we only use the black keys. And we have got this. I think is the direction of the melody. Quite interesting with that movement up at the beginning and then it's the wave going down. Right, step, what is it for? Lyrics. I found monsters under the bed, they're hiding in the floorboards and they pulled me down. Let's look at metric rhythm and phrasing for a second. I found monsters under my bed. Oh, I found monsters under my bed. There might be a stress issue there, right? With monsters, everything is cool, okay, and it also makes sense to have this pickup thing with I found before the downbeat and monsters as the most important word of the line as the first downbeat word. Under my bed puts, in my opinion, unnecessary stress on the my and makes it hard to understand because the way you would normally pronounce that sentence is I found monsters under my bed, right? So with bed getting the heavy stress at the end and not so much the my. Let's see where this goes. Okay, they're hiding in the floorboards and they pulled me down with that beautiful prosodic element. right? They pulled me down, which is why the melody goes down. So this makes a lot of sense, and they were quite aware of this when writing this. Pulled me down. Okay, it doesn't make sense to go up with that melody line. So in that case, everything was considered and applied well.
And I opened my eyes, I was barefoot and all alone in my tattered gown.
When I opened my eyes, I was barefoot and all alone in my tattered gown. And again,
When I opened my eyes,
when I open my eyes, in that case, they managed to stress it well, right? So, my eyes now gets the proper stress. Let me quickly stop this video for a big thank you to the active financial supporters of this enterprise here on YouTube and over on Patreon, namely Andrew Morgan, Hugh MSE, Jennifer Grander, Jody Henko, Jonathan Ribeiro, welcome back, JC, Prince of Wales, Amy May, Jennifer Grander again, Lena, Bloody Mary 26, Gigi, Vedas, Pet Pig, Sarah Dell, Lexi Mitch, and Shia. If the rest of you also want to contribute, please check the links in description. On with the show.
barefoot and all alone in my tattered gown.
I was barefoot and all alone in my tattered gown. If we now look at the rhyming patterns of those first, I would even say it's 6 lines. We see that some rhyme and some don't. I found monsters under my bed, they're hiding in the floorboards, and they pulled me down. I think with that floorboards thing in the middle, we would have 3 lines introducing that thing here, and all 3 lines get answered. When I opened my eyes, I was barefoot and all alone certainly bearing a lot of resemblance to that floorboard idea in terms of rhyme. In my tattered gown. Tattered gown is a combination of words that you would normally not use very often in a pop song. Interesting.
Castles in the house surrounded by dark blue trees. Is anybody?
Alright, we change the chord progression in that next section that may or may not be a pre-chorus or a chorus. We keep the same chords, but we change the order of the chords. So what I heard is that after the 6 minor, that the progression starts with again, we play the 1 first and only then the 5 and the 4, right? So we have got 6 minor, 1, 5, 4. Let's confirm this for a second.
House surrounded by dark blue trees. Is anybody out there?
Alright, and I think the chord progression even continues. I think there is something else after that. Let's check that before we go to melody analysis.
Out there. And the closer.
Oh, interesting. So we have got 6 chords. The 5th being, I believe, a 1 with a major 3 in bass. Quite interesting. With the last chord, I have to listen to it again.
Out there.
So we end this thing with a 1-5 cadence, we could say, with the 1 having this special bass note, but then the 5 creates dominant function, maybe to create that deceptive resolution to go back to the 6 minor that we also need as the first chord for the verse. Next step, melody analysis of the what I believe it might be a chorus.
I saw castles.
Okay, we are still in that pentatonic realm, right? I saw castles
In the house.
in the I think.
In the house.
I think in the air. Prosodic element in the air, and the melody goes up a 5th.
By dark blue trees.
Surrounded by great blue trees, and again we have got a stress issue. I want to keep looking at the melody for a second, but again this great blue trees make it hard to understand because there is a stress thing,
Anybody out there?
right?
Anybody out there?
Oh, and the first time that we leave that pentatonic sequence. Anybody out there? Anybody out there? Cool hanging note there. With that hook motif, anybody out there, that of course is so strong that they want to repeat it, anybody out there, and ending this on a kind of depressed and unresolved thing here. Really, really cool. Lyrics. And I saw castles in the air surrounded by great blue trees. It's hard to understand, which is due to two reasons, I believe. First, the surrounded and the air are kind of glued together, and it's hard to spot the end of one word and the beginning of the next, or of the line, we could say. And then this surrounded by great blue trees, I don't know what great blue trees are, but it's certainly a beautiful image. The way that she phrases great and blue, I think, again, if we read the sentence normally, we would say surrounded by great blue trees. Great and blue would get the same amount of stress. Here, due to the melody development and this fifth jump, they decide to have great blue trees, right? So putting stress on the blue where the phrase is more natural in other pronunciation or stress, I should say. And one last interruption of this video in which I want to show you my dog. He's right here. Wait, what? You can't see him? Oh, yeah, that's right. That's because I haven't got a second camera, and that's where you come in. If you want to meet my dog Simba, the golden retriever, and if you want to see him react to me react to the music, then please check the links in description, send me money through PayPal, and we'll make sure to give you footage of the dog. Thank you to the first responders, Angela White, Devin Grayson, Paula Freitas, Karen Seidman, Christine Terry, and Jennifer Grinder. The rest of you, please also pitch in. On with the show. Castles in the air, right? In the air surrounded. It's a bit a blur between in the air surrounded, right? Let's listen to this again. Right? This great doesn't sound great. It sounds small. Surrounded by great blue trees. If you write it, then make sure to stress it properly. If you say surrounded by some blue trees or surrounded by the blue trees, then it's okay, right? Surrounded by the blue trees, right? But if you say great, you want this word to be great. We have got a second chorus half with the same chord progression certainly, but with totally different melody. One more thing that I forgot to mention is that both the verse and the chorus melody have got a pickup beginning, especially with the same chord playing as the first chord of the progression. It might be a good idea to consider different melody beginnings, meaning either you start your chorus on the downbeat or even after the downbeat in terms of melody to create better contrast to the verse.
Closer and closer I come.
Right? So it's a little bit related to this, and I saw castles in the air, entering with a new secondary hook with that closer idea, and the closer I came, right? Okay, they have got this, but they leave the anybody out there lyrical hook. I think they might have ridden this anybody out there wave a little bit more, right? Because all the ones they had forgot, all the ones they had lost, yes, they open up a new meaning there, but they are not as hooky as this anybody out there idea. It seems as though it was a different idea kind of put into that anybody out there idea. Maybe it works repeating the anybody out there and leaving out this lyrical alternative. Certainly same chord progression.
I found monsters in the closet.
Alright, so the monsters under my bed now becomes monsters in the closet, fixing the stress issue, right? Because closet now, of course, is properly pronounced.
Behind the t-shirts and the winter coats.
What beautiful images! They live behind the t-shirts and the winter coats, right? Cool.
Tall like skyscrapers.
Tall like skyscrapers? Tall like skyscrapers. Again, issues with the stress. It just makes it more difficult to understand what you're saying.
Tall like skyscrapers.
Right? Tall like skyscrapers is stressing all the wrong syllables. Dun, 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 dun. And tall like skyscrapers. And tall like blah blahs, right? So you wanna make sure to fix the metric rhythm so that it's easier to understand this.
Nothing like all the fairy tales wrote. I saw.
And I found monsters in the closet. They live behind the t-shirts and the winter coats. What a beautiful image! Come on, it's a booster line, certainly. Tall like skyscrapers with that stress issue, and nothing like all those fairy tales wrote. So again, we have got this ending rhymes with coats and road as clear rhymes, and all other things are kind of related to each other but don't really form the rhymes. Okay.
Castles in
Chorus 2.
the surrounded by red blue trees. Is anybody out there? Closer and closer I go. Looking for the good see. All the ones they had close. I saw castles.
Instrumental interlude with I Saw Castles as kind of the lyrical looking back into the chorus, and then we have got the chord progression from the chorus and this cool bass melody. That is certainly something interesting and certainly something that not a lot of pop songs have. Almost like a bass solo, right? Ba-da-da-dum. Right, ba-da-dum-bum, with that cool staircase down as a secondary hook. Right, and then adapting to the chords, but certainly repeating that melodic movement. There it's again. Ba-da-da-dum. It's very, very long for a bass solo that is basically quarter notes only, right? Da, 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 dum. Ba, da, da, dum. It is very, very spacey, no doubt about it. I don't know if you needed to repeat this whole idea, right? So maybe one of those sections would have been enough to kind of cut to the chase, as we say here.
Giant, he held me in the palm of his hand.
We are in a verse 3, in a broken down verse 3 that in terms of arrangement certainly fulfills the function of a primary bridge with a new lyrical development. This time the monsters are gone and she meets a giant. I met a giant, he held me in the palm of his hand. It's I don't know, fantasy, fairy tale, cool images that certainly evoke a spirit.
No name, but he had a kind face and he was just like a father.
Now she leaves the verse pattern, and I wonder where this goes. So the first thing that changes is the chord progression, I believe.
No name, but he had a kind face and he was just like a father.
So the second chord progression is 6 minor, 5, 5, 6 minor. Why? I don't know.
Just like a father to me.
Okay, we build something here. He was like a father to me.
Just like a father to me.
We have got this here. A 2 minor to 3 minor build-up. Before we check out where this leads to, we have to talk about the development or the change in the melody.
Giant, he held me in the palm of his hand.
This is what we know from the Monsters verses, right? I met a giant, he held me in the palm of his hand. And now she changes stuff and builds.
He had no name.
Right? This is still that, I made a giant, so this leap up at the beginning of the phrases.
Had a kind face and he was just like a father.
Just like a father. We resolve that at the same time we build up in the arrangement.
Just like a father to me.
And now we do this here. Which is cool because she highlights the root note of the chord with the A flat playing first, and then it is the B flat. Maybe I should say G sharp and A sharp. I'm not sure about this. Certainly leaving an unresolved feeling. Let's check out where this goes.
I saw a castle.
Oh, okay. So she does this here. Me and I saw castles. Let's try something. Just like a father to me. And I saw castles. It might be a good idea to look at the 3 as a secondary dominant, as a major chord that creates a stronger pull towards that 6 minor that the last chorus is supposed to start with, right? Just like a father to me, and I saw castles. It might be a good idea if you want to have that lift. Please, please, please give him a camera. He's so cute. Right now he's wearing the cone of shame because he won't stop biting his back. Check out PayPal and send him money for his camera.
In the house surrounded by bright blue trees. Is
Anybody out there? I think this is the strongest hook of the song, right? Why not repeat this at the end of the chorus as well, instead of this all the ones they had forgot, all the ones they had lost, which is meaningful but not as strong as Is Anybody Out There, I believe.
Closer and closer I got, where the more could see. Once they had love, and I saw castles.
Guitar taking over what the bass did. Instrumental interlude, in that case, I believe, rather outro. 45 seconds of an outro might be long. I saw castles. They are certainly aware of the hooks that they need to bring back. Then an outro that is rather separate from the overall feel of the song because it has got those dotted quarter notes. Maybe it would have been a cool idea to bring back that drum sample from the intro. That certainly was Kennedy Frohawk's Something with Giants. In the Hands of the Giant, maybe, just maybe, consider naming this song Is There Anybody Out There? Because it's the strongest hook of the song, but I'm sure to take away valuable songwriting learnings and to give some constructive feedback. Songwriting tip number 1, careful with metric rhythm and pronunciation issues. I found Monsters Under My Bed and this Surrounded by Great Blue Trees are 2 issues, and Tall Like Skyscrapers as well are 3 issues that I would look at again if I were the songwriter. So this is something that I think has easy fixes, but certainly something that will help the listener get into the song quicker, right? Because you can understand it better and it doesn't pull people off, right? I know I'm very picky about this, and we've looked at a ton of Taylor Swift songs, for example, where she takes exactly those liberties. But as a beginning to intermediate songwriter, I would handle this with care to make sure to get the exposure first and to make sure to get people into the song first before experimenting with odd metric rhythm. Songwriting tip number 2, consider secondary dominant chords when pulling, for example, a primary bridge toward a strong last chorus. What they did is they had this 2 minor to 3 minor idea. Look what happens if you turn this 3 minor into a 3 major chord. Even with a dominant 7 note there. So that certainly wants us to go to the beginning chord of the chord progression from the chorus. Those are tiny details that in the arrangement you can later kind of fix in order to transition between sections more professionally. And songwriting tip number 3, resulting from, I think, the strongest suit of the song, which is the "Is there anybody out there" hook. Repeat it more often. Be aware of the strongest sections and bring them back as often as you can. Maybe this is also something that you can include or integrate into the interludes and into the outro, right? Into the bass interlude and into the guitar outro. To have this "Is there anybody out there" is kind of a background choir asking that question that will remain unresolved, of course. But certainly it's also a good idea to have this as the second chorus half instead of the a bit weaker lines, all the ones they had forgot, all the ones they had lost. I think "Is anybody out there" is "anybody out there" is the strongest section of the song, which is why I would bring it more often. And this was my live reaction and on-the-fly analysis of Kennedy Frohawk's song "In the Hands of the Giant" that may or may not be called "Is There Anybody Out There?" If you liked this video, please make sure to give me the thumbs up, to subscribe to the Let's Talk Song channel, and to leave friendly comments, maybe suggesting other songs you would like me to analyze. Maybe you also want to visit my Patreon to get your own songs checked out. Remember the membership options here on YouTube and over on Patreon, and your contributions to the Simba Cam, all links in description. I guess we've talked your song. You can talk about why Dutch children are the happiest in the world now. Bye bye!